Hey man,
Hey, how are you doing? Can you
all is
hear me?
good, all is good. Come stai? Tutto bene?
Bene, bene. Te, bene?
Tutto bene, tutto bene. But I think that's about it, right? That my Italian ends there. So you are in Italy, right? I mean, and being locked up at home, me, rest of the world, 6 billion people doing exactly the same thing, right? Uh, what keeps you sane, man? I mean, now that you can dig holes outside, I mean, what do you do? I hope there are no holes in the in the flat anymore.
Now, yes, to be honest, the situation is it's very hard in
No.
Italy. Right now, we just went outside for the first time after a couple of months,
Mm-hmm.
after the phase 1 of the after the phase 1 of the quarantine,
Yeah.
and it was a problem. It was a problem because we were locked down and all the small shops,
Mm-hmm.
were closed for a long time, without a simple solution
Mm-hmm.
for everyone. And even small society like the bands having problem right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, it is going to affect everyone, not only in Italy. Obviously, Italy has been hit the hardest in Europe, at least, right? I mean, then Spain is the second. What is going on now in the United States? This is absolutely, out of hand and absolutely crazy. But I personally feel like, that the music industry will not bounce back to normal just by the snap of the fingers, right? I mean, we will have to go through some changes after it, right? And what do you think? I mean, how do you think the quarantine and the whole this pandemic thing is going to affect the music industry and especially the European one?
Uh, for the first thing that popped to my mind is that all the guys that releasing the album this year will
Screwed.
be fucked. Yes, yes, bro. Because they release an album, and when you release an album, you need several months, of preparation. You have to do promotion. You have to do. You have to pay for the copyrights, etc. Like I don't know, we have CI in Italy, but they have Gamma in Germany and other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So after that, you choose a date, and then you can't play until probably realistically you will not able to play until 2021.
Yeah.
So the next year, your album in the catalog is from the previous year, so
You
it's
got to write
already
a new
old.
one.
It's already yeah, it's already old, and you have to do a new one. So it's
Shit.
not is affecting even the album release of this year. To be honest, I don't know who of the big bands in the music business will release their album this year, because in my opinion it's a very wrong move. It's a full step.
Yeah.
With
I
Tolkien,
mean,
it's a full
I
step.
I can think of only two names, the guys who didn't postpone it, right? It was Testament released a new one, right? And Trivium did. But the rest, Deep Purple, they already said that Whoosh is going to be postponed for at least half a year, and then they will figure it out. And a bunch of bands keep rescheduling their release dates.
Yeah, I heard even in Ciferro, for example, they are big friends of mine.
Hmm.
They're releasing their album in June,
Yeah.
but probably they want to release the album and stop touring, because they toured a lot in the latest years. So probably they want to release the album and make promotion on other ways, like social media stuff, or websites and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It is it is what it is. In my opinion, for a small band like Windrose, because we are not, we are in the professional music business with one album, Winter Saga latest album. in my opinion, for the small medium bands, is not a good move to release something today, because uh, to promote that 100% your album, you have to play.
No.
You have to play like the old way, you know. It's not just about social media and Facebook and Instagram. You can have 50,000 likes on
Who cares?
everything, but if people don't know who you are and don't see you live, you are no one, you know. It's like eh, I don't know. It's very weird, the difference between the internet world and the real world,
Mm-hmm.
because assuming that uh, this fact, you know, we should be, if in the internet world, the websites and the real life was the same, we should be one of the biggest bands around the world, because we did like 13 million
Yeah, it is really
13
good.
million
Yeah.
views on the latest album. So
Yeah.
I mean, on one video, and
Yeah.
it's, those are numbers that they are very high for it was unexpected for us. And so I mean, it's different, you know. You have always to prove who you are on the field, so that's why you have to play live, that's why you have to make tours and
Mm-hmm.
festivals. And we had a lot of plans for this year, but as you say,
Yeah.
it's very difficult. It's very difficult. I think they will be canceled until the next year. So
Most likely, most of the European festivals, at the very least, are going to be rescheduled. Yeah, and this raises, another question. You mentioned Tensiferum, and this is a new trend that we are forced to, kind of adapt to. I'm a live show guy, right? I'm an old-fashioned, like, if I don't see a band live, I can't, enjoy it properly, right? Because I don't
right,
know how they
right.
perform in reality, and the whole idea of releasing an album electronically and displaying it online only, just, is it a new a reality that we all have to adapt with, or do you think that we are going to bounce back after a year or two and things will be back to normal?
I think that the releasing the release of the album just through the internet
Mm-hmm.
is just a reality that is that it is since like 5 6 years,
Mm-hmm.
in my opinion. So we will be back to the normal, our normal life.
That's good. Yeah.
Probably for the big festivals or big events, there will be uh, probably more security. I mean, for it depends on what is the period of the year that
Mm-hmm.
you're doing that, because if it's something that is spreading more in the winter, I'm not just talking about coronas, but like every
Flu.
virus,
Yeah.
it can mutate and can change. So I think that will be not just the last wave, the
Mm-hmm.
first and the last wave. Probably we will carry this plug for more time, for more years.
Mm-hmm.
So there will be something, changed for security or for this kind of stuff. But we will be back, because mm, we always well, we always came back to our lives, even when we had some tragedies or more tragic than these,
Mm-hmm.
and I think we will not have problem. But
Mm-hmm.
economically, it's already a problem. So economically, I don't know if we can come back, because as I said, a lot of small realities are closing
Mm-hmm. That's
right
true.
now.
Unfortunately, most of the smaller, moms and pops shops are just out of business already. Because they do not have that financial stability, to survive through this. So interesting times we live in. Yeah. You mentioned, the 13 or whatever million views on. I assume you were talking about Diggy Diggy Hole, right? I mean, the
Yeah.
infamous
Okay.
or famous cover of
Yes,
this
yes. Of the
this.
Yogscast.
Yeah, yeah, and this was one of the questions from the fans actually. I mean, what inspired you to do the cover? I mean, you are not a cover band, right? I mean,
No.
you haven't done many covers. I mean, I looked through all your discography before the talk, couldn't find any. I mean, what inspired you? I mean, it's definitely been a hit for you. I mean, it's a good one, right on target. But what inspired you, and whose idea was it?
So at the beginning, start to first of all, we are all gamers, so we already knew that song,
Okay.
before, and we know since it was released, and it was always a blast, and it talks about dwarves, so you know, people always asked for that live, but as you said, we are not a cover band.
Yeah.
We are. We didn't like to put covers in the album, but we wanted to put this song as a special track for Japan.
Mm-hmm.
And when Maurizio heard, our manager
Mm-hmm.
Maurizio Iacono, when heard this song, he said, "No, guys, this song is so catchy that you have to put it in the album, and release it as the first video."
Single.
And at the beginning, we didn't understood what he wanted to do, what was the move, but after a while, when the song was released, we realized that was the most genius idea. No, 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 it's true, it's true. So we wanted to point more on our music
Yeah.
than a cover, because we didn't want to be the band that made Diggy Diggy Hole.
Yeah.
But we realized that Diggy Diggy Hole brought attention on our album,
Mm-hmm.
so it was amazing. The sales were really really good, and that's it. Diggy Diggy Hole brought attention. It was used to open the way in the
Mm-hmm.
professional market, music business, and it was the perfect move, right in to the target, as you say. It's true.
Yeah, I mean, there's this saying in the music industry that the third album is definitive for the band. It's when either the band is going to the dustbin of history, or it is a breakthrough and they can release the fourth one. And the fourth one is actually the one that sets direction, and that's where the band is gonna go. I mean, and I personally think that Winter Saga has been a breakthrough for you, right? And I think a lot of critics agree with me, right? And again, very honest, I'm not a gamer, and Diggy Diggy Hole is a catchy song, but it's not my favorite one on the album.
Yeah,
like,
sure,
I mean,
sure.
so it
No,
worked exactly as intended on me, for example, right? I mean, and the album got a bunch of hits, right? And but do you think that Winter Saga is your strongest work so far? And if so, I mean, what's the favorite song out of your own on the album? To play live and to enjoy yourself.
probably to play live, and my favorite to listen are different one,
Oh.
because live I really enjoy to play Mind My Mind
Mhm.
from Winter Saga.
Mhm.
There is a song it's a song about the habits of the dwarves, during
Mhm.
the day. So I mean, mine, and to drink, have party, and that song, in my opinion, is the most catchy. Is the one that is that will be closer to Diggy Diggy Hole as feeling.
Mhm.
So people feel it when we play it on stage,
Mhm.
and really enjoyed that too. My favorite to listen, when I want to listen something good, I would say "We Were Warriors," the
Mhm.
last song of the
Mhm.
album, is because it's 9 minutes, you know, a song plus the outro,
Mm-hmm.
and that song was the last one, so we were not, you know, forced to do something. But to be honest, in the composing sessions, we are not forced to do something
Mm-hmm.
catchy or cheesy. We just do what we like, okay?
That's good.
But the
Yeah.
last song, it was cool because we were able to put whatever we want, you know, to make the end of the album really really epic.
Mm-hmm.
So we worked as a composer for a metal album, for a metal album,
Mm-hmm.
but we even worked as composer for soundtracks like
Mm-hmm.
cinematic stuff. You know,
Mm-hmm.
if you hear the last track of the album, the the final part is very cinematic, is
It
very
is. It is actually. Yeah.
epic. You know, I really like it. I like to compose stuff that bring my fantasy to another level. You know.
That's good. In the the time of pandemic, right? You're all at home. I assume you keep in touch with the band, right? I mean, with the other
Yeah,
guys,
sure,
the other
sure,
dwarf.
sure. We do Twitch lives on Twitch
I
every
saw that. Yeah.
Friday, and we compose even through webcam.
Nice.
not,
Hey,
not.
you are writing new material, and when I know it's I mean you just released Winter Saga, what, like autumn 2019, right? But what about the new
Yes.
material? And have you got enough? When is the new album coming out?
When we'll be out, for the moment, I can say it, but probably for sure will be released very, very, very soon,
Mm-hmm.
because we already had a lot of ideas, you know, and a lot of songs are already done.
Okay, nice.
Even if because we never stop to compose, you know. Even if we release Winter Saga in the fall of 2019,
Mm-hmm.
we already we were working on this album, you know,
Mm-hmm.
that we are going to release.
All right. All right.
So
Perfect.
that's why we never stop composing. We just meet once per week at Federico's home, the keyboard player, and we used to do everything, obviously with the computer, because we don't have a place, you know, specific place where we can spend
Mm-hmm.
15 hours, you know, in a room and think about our music.
Mm-hmm.
And to be honest, I think that our kind of music is based more on orchestration
Mm-hmm.
and needs to stay in front of a computer to manage the orchestration before everything, you know.
Okay.
So we are working like this. We are working now. We can meet up. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, as long as there is a lockdown, we can meet up for this kind of reasons. We now in these days we can meet up with parents or with your family if
Mm-hmm.
you live in another, but you have to make some you know, some bullshits that I'm going you know, I don't like that kind of stuff, you know. I want to be free to go everywhere, and
Everyone
if
is.
there is a situation like this, I prefer to stay at home and stay safe, you know.
Yeah,
So
it's true.
but we are composing through the internet, you know, via Discord or
Yeah.
Skype or something like that, you know. So it's good anyway. It's good anyway. We
That,
are in
that,
touch and we are working
that-
hard. So
it's good to hear that the creative process hasn't stopped, right? I mean, that's great. You know, and the other thing, I'm a Tolkien nerd. I'm not even a fan. I'm a nerd, right? And it seems like a lot of your fans are, for obvious reasons, right? You kind of have found this niche somewhere in Arda or Middle Earth, right? I mean, with the whole your concept of dwarves and Erebor and so on and so forth. Will the fifth album be Tolkien themed as well, or you think it's going to be completely out of that, and you will switch to something new?
to be honest, I think that make another album just on Erebor would be not that good in my opinion, because unfortunately, Tolkien didn't develop a lot the dwarves world. You
Mm-hmm.
know, he did a good work on elves, and obviously, as you know, he did like two languages, you know, for elves and stuff. You know, so it was an amazing work, but he was not able to do the same on dwarves. So the information that we have and what you can get through the books and through the films
Mm-hmm.
is something limited.
Mm-hmm.
We want to continue for sure with the dwarf world, but we can talk about everything. You know,
Yeah.
we can talk about dwarves in fantasy and not
Mythology and yeah.
specifically from the Lord of the Rings.
Mm-hmm.
We can move on other stuff. You know,
Mm-hmm.
that could be the lore of Warhammer or the lore of something like that. I don't know if you know Warhammer. You know,
A little bit. I
it's
mean, I heard of it, but
I was a player of Warhammer
oh, really?
Fantasy, you know, with the miniatures that I enjoyed. No,
Nice.
it's
But you're sticking to the theme, right? To the dwarf theme itself, right? You're not ditching it.
yes, the dwarf theme is not changing.
Mm-hmm.
This is the thing that is not changing and will not change in the years probably,
Mm-hmm.
because we really like, you know, we really like. It's not just the theme of the song. We really enjoy to be on stage with a particular
Mm-hmm.
look, you know.
Yeah.
So I think it's very, um, you know, as a crowd, when you see someone with our armors, you know, axes come on stage, you know, you will enjoy that. So. No, yeah, I don't want to change. I feel good with my armors on stage. So,
Protected against coronavirus. Actually, it's funny. You know, when you Google either of your band, bandmates' names next to Windrose, the Google suggests another word, right? And the next one is always height, because you are with the dwarf theme, right? Everyone wants to know your height. That's
yeah,
funny.
I don't know why people want to know if I'm short for real or not. You know, that's crazy, man.
It's like, if
That's
you're a
crazy.
fake dwarf or not.
Yeah, no, it's let me see, let me check if it's a fake. Ah, he's a fake.
I
Jesus
knew
Christ.
it.
No, but someone asked, someone told to us, but I prefer the band that wear midget for real. But man, what the fuck? Jesus Christ.
That's okay.
It's not the same, you
That's
know.
just weird.
They are comparing two different things, you know.
That's true.
Jesus.
That's true. Ivan, get us stick to a couple of questions from the online community here that were asked, thrown in. The very first, which bands have influenced you the most, right? Your work, especially the latest album. Where do you draw your inspiration?
Our main inspiration, for sure, are Winter Sun,
Mm-hmm.
Tourist Us, and probably Equilibrium,
Mm-hmm.
Ensiferum for sure.
Mm-hmm.
All the bands that made us grew up in the years, you
Mm-hmm.
know. So that kind of music. And to be honest, I don't find another band that sing like we sing in our albums.
Mm-hmm.
You know, all the bands that influence most for us are a band with scream, you know, scream or growl.
Yeah.
So it was difficult, you know. It's difficult to compare to another band, but musically, you know, when we compose, we used to do to get influenced by Winter Sun and To Resist the most.
Okay.
And personally, I think that my favorite singer, one of my main inspiration is Russell Allen from Symphony X.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that's interesting. Yeah, because you guys are epic, musically, right? But I mean, it's a different kind of epic from so some people compared you online to Blind Guardian or something like that, right? And whether you drew
Mm.
inspiration from them, but it's a very different kind of epic. You are like war kind of epic, and not symphonically, grand in a way, right? I mean, so it's a different style of music. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people compare us to. A lot of people say, "Oh, you are Hailstorm, but with dwarves." No, okay, no, no. If we want to talk about uh, the music, I think that we could not be comparable to another band because, as I said, we have a lot of influences,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't find another band that used to put opera singing and epic music, as you
Mm-hmm.
said, that sometimes is more cinematic than metal.
Mm-hmm.
So it's hard. It's hard. Why I say Tourisas and Winter Sun. Winter Sun because they technically they do songs that they are not catchy, but very immersive.
Mm-hmm.
You can really enjoy the details that Yarimempa put in his songs. So it's fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
And Tourisas because Tourisas uh, used to do a lot of epic parts with big choirs, like we do
Mm-hmm.
in a Varangian way or stand up and fight.
Yeah.
So I think that our kind of music is moving more in that way than the others.
Mm-hmm.
For sure, we had influences even from bands from our country like Rhapsody,
Mm-hmm.
but we are different. There's nothing
Yeah,
to compare with Rhapsody. Rhapsody are more happy. I don't know. It's more classical power metal.
exactly.
And
And there
yeah,
is this vibe to Italian power metal that is very
yeah.
cheerful in a way. Yeah.
Yeah, and Italian power metal is that style, and we have a ton of bands, Rick Roll from Rhapsody or
Mm-hmm.
from Angra or stuff like
Yeah.
that. And because South America is more like Italy, I don't know why, but
Hot.
usually the style of power metal used to be the same,
Mm-hmm.
but we wanted to be ourselves. We didn't want to make something that is a copy of someone else.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why we arrived to this result. I think that it's not the most mainstream stuff
Mm-hmm.
because probably if we were more in a classical way of power metal, we would have more chances, for the business,
Maybe
or
more
maybe
rapid,
not,
you
or
know.
maybe not,
Yeah,
or
who
maybe
knows?
not. I don't know.
You could have been another Italian power metal band, right? I mean, you
Yes,
chose a
yes,
different
yeah.
path. You chose a different path, and it might take. I mean, again, I'm just guessing here. It might not, but it might take a longer way to develop. But then, uh, you might find your own niche, right? I mean, like Judas Priest were not able to release an album for 4 years, and I mean, 50 years later, look at them. Yeah.
Now the thing is that if you look what the big labels release,
Mm-hmm.
there are a ton of metal bands. If we are when we are talking about power metal, there's a lot of metal bands that used to sing and used to compose like the 90s power metal bands.
Mm-hmm.
But in my opinion, I mean, we are 20 years
Ahead, yeah.
more
Yeah.
than the 90s, when all these bands, these big bands came out, and I think we have to go on, even on the style. So, but if you watch the market, there are some places, some countries where this kind of power metal is ours, so
Yeah.
I mean, like in Germany.
Yeah.
In Germany, they like power metal old school, So it
Ger-
depends. It
Germany
depends.
likes a lot of old school. I mean, they love thrash metal, old school as well. I mean, they're very
Yes.
sustainable. I mean, it's a great thing. I love that about Germany, that you can come back 10 years later and you know exactly how it's gonna be. Anyway.
Yeah. But the things are changing for us in Germany because in the latest tour that we did with Glory Hammer,
Mm-hmm.
uh, we saw a different kind of crowd.
Mm-hmm.
The first time that we have been in Germany, people were in front of the stage, like this with a beer, drinking or what, staring to you
Who are
like
you?
what the fuck,
Okay.
but they enjoyed the show.
Yeah.
And with this album, we saw the people changing, So I think that they are not closed minded. They are
Mm-hmm.
open minded, but talking about business, the old school stuff works good in Germany.
Yeah,
So
gotta
it's
find your niche. Gotta find your crowd in any country, and I'm sure there is one, right? Talking about last tour, right? And or you can take a previous one, a 17 one. Is there one funny story, favorite moment with the fans, or anything that you can tell, like that you think was like kick-ass cool?
I don't want to
Name a favorite
play.
crowd now.
I don't want to kiss the ass to my fans. I just talk to my heart. And I'm talking with my heart, and I say that every gig was beautiful, to be
Mm-hmm.
honest, because people were singing all the songs from Winter Saga.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people didn't know the songs that came
Before that.
before,
Uh-huh.
but from Winter Saga, they sung like from the first song to the last song that we played on stage.
Mm-hmm.
So it was amazing, and but I think that the pressure from the fans that we had in a couple of gigs in the latest tour was fantastic. Like one that I remember is in Oberhausen.
Mm-hmm.
Oberhausen in Germany was a beautiful gig, and people stayed after the door closed, stayed like 2-3 hours, singing our song outside in front of the merchandise stand. So, and
Nice.
we were at the merchandise stand to make signs and pictures.
This is
I
amazing,
remember
yeah.
that I hugged and I made picture with 1,000 people for sure. So
That's amazing.
it was incredible. And one of the other gigs is is for the crowd, but even for the venue,
Mm-hmm.
that is incredible in my opinion. Is Barba Negra in Hungary.
Mm-hmm.
Barba Negra in Hungary. Not the festival, the summer
Yeah.
edition. The summer, they have two venues. One for the summer festivals,
Yeah.
that is very big and very good,
Yeah.
and the other one is for the winter,
Mhm.
but it's even good. It's all made of wood inside. It's made of wood, and the capacity is 1,500.
Mhm.
So you will see a big crowd,
Nice.
in front of your stage, and everyone really enjoyed our songs, our latest album. So and we're happy to see us live. So it was really, really good.
That's great. Yeah, Atlas is very similar. They have a winter venue, which is a club, for 800 to 1,000 people, and then there's a huge festival, during the summer. Not this one. Yeah.
Unfortunately,
Yeah.
but anyway, as I said, I'm not worried because I think that we will start to live again with no problems, and we will do all the things that we did in these years.
Hmm.
And the only thing that is not good for everyone is the money, because
It's true.
when you are an artist, you have to play.
Yeah,
If you are not able to play, you can't work. If you don't work, you don't have
that's true.
a salary, and you have to pay bills every month
Yep.
anyway, so
Yep. Electricity, you can't live without it.
yeah. But I mean, it's for everyone. It's not just musician.
Everyone.
People have to understand that there is a word behind that you don't see on stage. For example, like the light guys, the sound engineers,
Yeah.
the venue manager, all the production that works to make the tours happen. All this kind of people now is without a job. I
Exactly.
mean, they can they can program for the next year, but from February to January to
Yeah. The bills
2021,
didn't
it's a
stop
long
popping,
time,
right?
man.
Yeah.
It's a long, very long time. So will be tough, but we we have passed a lot of things, so I think that we could go on this one as well.
Yeah. All right. Edmund, I don't want to keep you too busy. Last question, which was supposed to
Okay.
make you smile. I think one of the guys sent it online. Are you a fan of La Gilda dei Nani Birai? Apparently, it's a.
Ah! La Gilda dei Nani Birrai
All
is,
right. Yeah.
yeah, it's a beer factory in Pisa.
Okay.
Pisa is my hometown.
Okay.
I
Okay.
mean, so I live in a small village next to Pisa, but
Hmm.
I mean, it's Pisa anyway. So Pisa, I can say that Pisa is my own town, and they are friend of us, and we wanted to make merchandise, with the beer,
Nice.
like a beer from Erebor or stuff like that. It would be cool.
Yeah.
But the thing is that doing that kind of merchandise, it's very difficult to travel with
It,
100 bottles of beer.
exactly.
You will
And then
break
you
everything.
gotta fill in the documents and get permission to sell in each country.
Yes, even
Yeah,
yes,
so
even
it's not
that.
that
So
easy.
it's very we can't do that for the moment.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Maybe not now. Ironman, thanks a lot. Any last message for the fans? For anyone?
okay, I leave you this message, guys. It's a tough period right now, and this 2020 is not that good as we expected,
Hmm.
but we have to go on. Stay safe at home for the moment. Don't be an asshole, and see you in 2021 for our next gigs. Okay.
Perfect. Thanks a lot, man. Appreciate it.